Mr. Shane Embury, welcome to Damnation Versus. How are we?
Not so bad, mate. It's a little chilly down here. I think winter or autumn, whatever it's called, is starting to ascend or descend. Descend, yeah. Descend.
Well, to be fair,
Yeah, I'm starting to feel the chills a little bit, but otherwise, all right. Not so bad.
well, that's how it feels in Glasgow in June and July. So just taking a wee bit to get down to you guys. So this for the folk who normally listen to Damnation Versus, the first time I've ever had anyone on who's got something to plug. So I feel a wee bit. This is my Jonathan Ross moment where we get to dive in and talk about what it is we're plugging. So you've released a book after 35 years on the road of life and Napalm Death. So tell us a bit about
it. Yeah, it's a strange one. I mean, it is a strange one. Over the years, you'd laugh, with your mates, and you tell your tales and go, oh, this one's for the book, just like casually joking. And I think, when the pandemic kicked in for everybody, complete craziness, and I just launched myself into making music and stuff. And during those early months, the offer of the idea of a concept of doing a book came in, and would I be interested? And I thought, well, yeah, why not? It seemed a reasonable time to sort of document the life I've led, I suppose. And it just seems one of those moments where you go, yeah, it seems the right time to do it. And so it goes from my beginnings of being born in a place called Broseley in Shropshire through the years of getting into metal and meeting the Napalm Death guys, and so it's interspersed with my beginnings, but also my life with Napalm, I guess.
Yeah. And so that came out, was it the 6th of October? So we've had a best part about 2 weeks with it now. How's the reaction been?
It seems to be pretty good. A lot of pre-orders going on, and so people are getting the books through the mail. Generally, reception seems to be fine. They're I didn't know what we were going to think, but people seem to like it. It's about 300 odd pages. It's not a massively long read, but it's packed full of information on various levels, I guess. But people seem to like it. Yeah, that's.
You've been involved in this industry for decades now, and you've released many an album across many a project, and it must always be a bit nervous putting something out there to the world. How did that compare, releasing the latest Napalm Death album or Lockup album, to releasing a book, which was all you?
Well, you get nervous. I mean, I kind of, especially with the last Napalm album, I didn't really do too much press mainly because lyrically it's mainly Barney's concepts, and I felt almost secondhand talking about his concepts, and I kind of said, well, I think it's, Barney was like, well, you should do some press. I said, I know, but at the same time, it's hard for me to put my head into your head and explain exactly, it's okay, you write and say, well, this song's about this, but I feel a bit weird. So I stepped away from it. So this time I'm mainly talking about music, which I like, which is my life, really. I mean, I'm happy doing that. And where I came from a little bit, and but yeah, you do get nervous because especially people read the book. I mean, you put yourself out there, not to be judged, but people have a greater insight of who you are, I suppose, and gets nerve-wracking.
Absolutely. And I mean, your life story is your story to tell, but life on the road, you're also coming across a lot of other people's stories, behind the scenes, backstage, dressing rooms. Now you can take the Motley Crue approach and just fucking lay it all out there. You know what I mean, to the point that you can't finish that book and still like Motley Crue. But you get like with yourself, it's like, where do you draw the line and saying, right, you know what, that would have been an interesting story about that band doing X, Y, or Z. However, it wasn't really my story to tell. I'm just privy to it. So where did you draw the line? And this is for public consumption, and this is what stays as life on the road.
I mean, there's certainly stuff in there. I mean, Barney said to me, I mean, I'll be honest, Barney said, people don't always want to read about, you running around naked at an Austrian metal fest, but that's in there because I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Friends for it, it's a great tale to tell, and I'm involved. So it's like, I don't really care too much in, and it's just that really. I mean, it's like that. There's probably far worse things to do. Well, maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's important. It talks about where I came from, growing up. It talks about the funny aspects, the aspects of Napalm where we were, we didn't get on so well, perhaps, or there's a division between, certainly in the '90s albums where we veered off doing our thing and why we did these things and how we felt. But yeah, I mean, the partying's there. People aren't stupid, and things they know what bands get up to, And I certainly, when I joined Napalm, didn't intend to become that partying animal that I did become during the years. But I mean, I've reined myself back from that. I've had to for health reasons. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
You have to do, or I had to do because I had responsibilities to my family and stuff. And but yeah, you do have to go, well, yeah, that is a great story, but maybe not, really.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, there needs to be some sort of that content, because that's the whole point. The reason that we want to buy and we want to read it is because we want to see, we want to peer behind the curtain. But at the same time, you're right, there's a lot of these things that goes on. And that doesn't always need to be criminality. I mean, sometimes it could just be, there's a personal space for some folk that's not going on. It's funny that you mentioned dialing back for health reasons, because I've now been in this industry working with the same sort of crossover bands yourself for maybe best part of 20 years, and I've seen the riders go from, if you get your Ackercock or your Godflesh or your Napalm Death rider, becoming a lot more health conscious and a lot more get it fruit smoothies and make sure the vegan trays are there, and in the space of 20 years that it's become quite a healthy industry.
Well, I think that, I mean, if anything, I suppose one of the many reasons for doing the book is the fact that, I'm not an angel, I'm not perfect, no one is. And during, over the course of, especially when Jesse and Mitch joined the band, this is the Napalm house. I'm in my little studio. 4 of us lived together. We were bloody nutcases, we went out drinking and watching all our favorite bands. We loved it. You're younger, you can't always. You can try riding out, but it's if you want to get to a decent time in your life, and especially when you have families and responsibility. But that part of the book is about. I mean, I crashed and burned several times, and had to reevaluate where I'm going on. Certainly with the pandemic, everyone had hard, dark times, and I certainly did too. My mum passed away last year, various things, and I was really battling how much I want to do with Napalm. Napalm is a massive part of my life, but do I want to tour 6-7 months a year forever? I don't know. So I love creating music. That's my vibe, So it's like trying to balance that. And of course, I think what I was trying to say is maybe the chance to get to talk to people, kids who are coming into the music, and it's all great, but you just be careful, because you could. It's now. I mean, I don't know whether it's any different nowadays, but I think back with like the early '90s, where you had a lot of time to kill, and a lot of crates of beer sitting in the corner, and you go, oh yeah, it's all well and good, and I'm certainly not saying nothing, but I sometimes look back and go, I had massive fun, and I don't really regret anything. But I could have probably used some of the time a bit more constructively. But I'm trying to make up for it now, in some ways, and So the book has all that kind of vibe going on, and you do it if you want to make. I mean, I crashed. I mean, I fell off the wagon. I didn't drink for about 10 years. A few things happened in my life, and I had a few beers, and I crashed hard in February, and I take 2 weeks out for it, down the gym, all that kind of vibe. Not massively, but I lost a bit of weight. I feel better. And it's always there, the temptation, it's and stuff. But it's like, well, I've got my fat, just trying to. And you went to Australia recently, massive, really great shows in Australia. I had some better energy to play the gigs, and my head was a bit straighter. And that's better, because when you can lock into that train of thought, it's far more positive, And of course, you have a shit day. It's natural to go,
Yeah.
Sometimes that's okay. But it's all with me. It's like I can have that first bite and go, it's lovely, but it doesn't stop at the first bite. So it's just trying to balance it.
It's amazing because, well, I mean, I don't live life in the road, but I tell you, the thought of me going to a gig, I'm going to see Cult of Luna tonight, and the thought of me going to a gig and not having a couple of pints, it's like almost alien. Whereas that's your everyday life for 6 or 7 months of the year. And not only that, as you say, the drink's free. Well, no, it's free and it's on your rider. So it's sitting in the corner of your dressing room with 8 hours a day between sound check and playing, where you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs in a foreign country.
You can. I mean, lately the past few years have been a lot better in some ways. We talked with Slayer. I'd stopped drinking for like 10 years, that was great. We were on really early, so I had my laptop on the bus, and we are doing all kinds of stuff. I was making some weird music, my Dark Sky Burial stuff, whatever. And then I was just doing weird demos. Johnny would come on and just start screaming in the microphone, and we do it because we had lots of time to kill besides watching Slayer. So if you can use that time, but of course you have. Yeah, we're lucky enough. The great thing about Napalm is from the tape trading days, I met all these friends of mine, and you have so many friends, and it's very easy. It's there one night, you know. So it's like, oh, Shane's in town, boom, boom, boom. And as much as you might say I'm having a night off, it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah.
Spend half the day bloody going, oh God, what did I do last night? And you do the gig, and of course you all got a bit of adrenaline. You're all pumped. Oh, yeah. So Scott Carlson from Repulsion's down. Oh, I'll go and have a pint with him.
Yeah.
And,
next thing you know, but rinse and repeat.
It is trying to find that balance. I mean, I've never been good at moderation, so that's it. I've just it all seems time to try and swing it in the balance if there's such a thing is possible.
In the book, because unfortunately, I received a PDF of the book the night before last, but I'm 2 weeks out for Damnation, and I barely have time to say hello to my kids. Never mind sit down and read a book. But I'm looking forward to. I'm getting Damnation out of the way, going to and sitting down and properly reading it, because I know I'm going to enjoy it. But funny enough, when it first, so about 20 years ago, I read a book, Cider with Roadies. Do you know the book? And it's got that chapter in it, but it goes away for 4 days in the van with you guys. The enemy writer comes back, and it's like Napalm Death are the worst guys in the world. And I took out all his Napalm Death CDs and burnt them in the garden. And I remember reading at the time, and I'd been a fan of Napalm Death, but then, and I kind of knew you guys were pretty decent behind the scenes. But I always wanted to see the other side of that story, or some sort of reply to it about what happened. So, how did that pan out for your perspective?
I don't know. I just think, was Mickey still in the band at that point? He might have been. I don't know, but I think some people got I mean, we were just. I don't think we did anything particularly out of order. Really, it was just someone woman's particular vision of how you are. You know, and I think that's the thing with Napalm. I mean, lyrically, and we have a message to spread to people about being decent human beings, but it doesn't mean you can't have a sense of humor. You can have a bit of fun. And I think some people, I mean, obviously that guy just like, I don't know, just I don't know, but envision something that you can't uphold really. But I don't know. I can't imagine anything we did, particularly too out of order, really. I mean, Mickey's an eccentrically extreme character, maybe, and it'll be quite intense. And I don't know. Some people, I mean, a lot of people say about Napalm is they expect these complete raging maniacs, and of course we're quite the opposite. So
that's my experience of it as well. So it was even more because I've read you did that, and I said, okay, fair enough. 4 days in a van with my best pals, I'd hate them all too. You know what I mean? So, but anything.
Well, I mean that particular trip was a long old trip.
Yeah,
and it was probably not. Who knows? I mean, not. Some people, a lot of people just aren't cut out. It's hard. I mean, dude, I jump in the van from time to time quite a lot. I mean, doing a bit of van tour, Venomous concept in January. But we're all, seasoned veterans, and just, for us, it's an excuse to hang out with friends. But from an outsider, you might have built up a picture of what it was going to be like. I mean, maybe just the van itself was like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Was there any sort of pushback or fallout for that when that book was published, or was it just sort of something you heard about years later that this guy had an excerpt in his book that said he never got on with Napalm Death for 4 days in a van to France?
Yeah, we just knew we were later on, and if we'd have known about it at the time, we would have probably just laughed anyway.
Aye.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I mean, I know for sure. I mean, certainly in the early years for me, I remember Morat, who used to work for Kerrang at one point. I mean, we were best of mates, Morat, but he said, you're all right, pain in the arse to me that one time. I said, oh, sorry, man, I've had a few points, You learn quickly to, especially when you're young, to me joining in a band, it's natural to have an ego for a little bit or something, but you try and go, oh, let me wear that down a bit. Hold on a minute, put your foot on the ground, so to speak. But sometimes people can catch you at the worst.
Yeah,
unintentionally. you know. And
I've seen the best and the worst of a lot of bands that, and then vice versa, almost sometimes with the same members on that same day. You know what I mean? You just catch them and they've landed after a 12-hour flight for somewhere. They're freezing cold, they want a coffee, and they're really not in the mood to be polite or anything else yet. 12 hours later, you can maybe speak to them and they want to be your best friend and have a Jaeger with you. So, I can understand that entirely.
I think you know, when we're touring, it's you're there for that 50 minutes, the hour, the hour and a half, and that's it. That's all glorious. And sometimes, especially I find over the summer times, I mean, when everything opened up again and people were flying, back to flying again. God, so many of my friends' bands, the gear was getting lost.
Yeah,
you were in it, and you see it. And I had my friend, I lost my guitar missing, and so this guy, I can't remember his name now. He's on tour in the state from the States. He's like, he says, your bass guitar, and he'd send me a picture. Oh yeah, if he can get it for me, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. And the guitar got lost. But you're traveling, and then you're missing, and you get, it sounds crap to say it, but you get tired, and that's when your energy is low. You're gonna come. That's when you're likely to say something that you shouldn't really. But I mean, generally we like to try and be mellow. We think of ourselves as easy going, but you can catch us on a wrong day.
Absolutely. Okay, tap into the whole Napalm Death experience in the decades you guys have been together. Then, so where are we now? You at 35 years in and at 55. Is it your full time? Is Napalm Death a full time job for the band members that are in it?
It is. I mean, it is. It's a big, massive part of what we do for sure. And for me, I was doing. I mean, for live for a few years. I wasn't doing Napalm. I was until we Brewery or Lockup or something like that. So kind of reining that back in and get a bit for myself. But I mean, you do it this much, and it is what you do really, pretty much. It's become your career, even though Barney hates that word career, but that's the way it is. It is.
It's a trend. But you know what? Something wholly reassuring about that. The fact is, you know what? You guys are an extreme metal band. You play grindcore, and you've made a career of it. You know, all we really hear and all we ever see is just the guys that are scratching out an existence, almost doing shows just to cover costs, maybe try and sell a bit of merch. So the fact that you can get to a point, I mean, albeit you need to be as good as Napalm Death, but the fact that it is there, you don't need to sound like Five Finger Death Punch to earn a living from music is quite promising.
Yeah, I mean, I always, that's in the book. It says that a bit as well, but I always wanted to be a band, and I'm lucky to be doing what I love. And at the same time, I do a lot of stuff on the side, which isn't as big as Napalm, and I'm fine with that. I mean, I have Napalm that occupies me, but creatively, I like to do other things. But yeah, I mean, I feel quite lucky and blessed to be able to do this. And through Napalm, I met my wife, and so I have a family. So it gave me a lot. By having the chance to tour to different countries and stuff, which I never would have thought about. You never would have believed really that in '93 we could go down to South Africa and jump into Russia as the Iron Curtain kind of came down, and and have people in Israel sing happy birthday to you, which was a nice touch for me, really. 25 years ago, of all the travel that we've been through, and I mean, it's quite an interesting life I've managed to lead.
And in terms of that, so in terms of that, Barney said there, doesn't want to call it a career. I mean, certainly wouldn't like to be called a business then. But if you were working in your 95 and you were an accountant or an office worker, you start your year, you get your holiday calendar out and you plan and you book your stuff in. When it comes to Napalm Death, is it like that? Do you guys sit down and say, what we doing the year ahead? And this is what we can manage. This is what we need to work around. These are the offers we've got. I mean, how do you plan out a 12-month ahead for a band like Napalm Death?
Sometimes it can be a little bit of planning, and sometimes, it can be a bit spontaneous. Things just come in out of the blue. But yeah, we're looking at like next year, at least for the first 6 months of what we're going to do and what I think Barnes going to take a bit of time off, and stuff. And within that structure, Daniel will probably go back to LA. But yeah, we try and look at making a plot for the year, But then things just sometimes come in that you go, that seems like a lot of fun to do, you know.
Yeah. A lot of bands will say that they need to, so you'll speak to agents and say, look, what we need is the Wacken offer or the Hellfest offer, and then we'll build round about that. Do you guys, the way do you see it, is it like, let's get a tour organised, and if we can get the bonus festival, then great? Or is it that you get, let's get a plum offer from somewhere and then build around that? Or is that just something that your agent deals with and you find out that reaches?
Yeah, I think it tends. I don't know. Sometimes there seems to be there is so many festivals, and we just kind of see what the agent kind of pulls in, you know. And then in the States with tours, our agent there will sometimes email me and go, you know, like for that last year, for example, you know, Behemoth are doing a tour. Would you be interested in? You know, he always fires it by me first to see if it's something that I'd be interested in doing, or that he thinks the band would be interested. And then you start plotting, you know, then sometimes you've got this tour going here, then because we've got that tour then we're all going to take a bit of time off here and then regroup, you know. With the festivals, I think there's always seems to be so many now that every year you get a couple of ones that come in and you try and build something around that. But for me lately, especially in Europe, it's just I'd like to be able to just get into just do one a weekend.
Right.
Because a lot of time we spend a lot of time traveling, a lot of time losing gear, which you can't predict that. That gets a bit stressful. So you turn up and you haven't got your guitar. It sounds silly, really, but you go, oh God, who can I borrow a guitar off? Is it going to be okay? And all kinds of stupidness. And then sometimes you miss it, you know, through trying to squeeze too much in over a weekend. Sometimes that can be really tiring, you know. And for me, it's become more and more tiring because I come back and then, of course, Monday morning, I've got to take the kids to school. It's bloody knackering. You know, so that's something I never thought about years ago. You know, I never took that into consideration. Now it's just like, wow, you know, it's really different.
Yeah.
You have to be careful. I mean, you say when you know, because you're passionate about your music, and of course, you know, your wife wants you to be there for such and such. You have to be, you know, these things. So pretty easy just to go, oh yeah, I'll do all that. Then you go, what have I just agreed to? Because you know,
it's funny to talk to you. It sounds like, I mean, the touring and Napalm Death, and you've done it for so long, it's almost second nature. It would be alien to anyone else to jump in a van for the best part of 6 months of a year and just survive it. Yeah, it's the humdrum that we all are used to having, getting the kids to school and the responsibilities back at home, which is sometimes it's what's catching you out now, trying to marry that up with life as being in Napalm Death.
Oh God! I mean, you know, my daughter goes to on a Saturday because my wife's Japanese, and so both my kids are fluent in Japanese, and they do Japanese school on a Saturday. I was down there last weekend. I'm like, it's just what do you call it? The flea market there, whatever. You know, they sell all these things, and I'm like, I'm bloody useless. You know, the daughter's looking at me like, Daddy. I'm like, oh. But I can jump on stage in front of 20,000 people. That's easy.
Yeah.
We're at the supermarket sometimes after a tour. I'm like,
what am I doing here?
I used to somebody going, here you go, here's your buy it in the corner. I go and get, oh yeah, right, thank you very much. Terrible, really. You know, it's but there you go. Yeah.
In terms of touring, I get a lot of guests on here that they're maybe been a band for 3, 4, 5 years. They've done one tour of Europe. They've had their first invite to go across to Australia. They've maybe done the States once, and it's all everything's new and exciting, and they're hoping for that big offer at one of the major festivals, and maybe come to play Damnation this year, which is why I'm talking to them. And you get a feel that the States was really spitting sawdust, and then the UK was okay, but then Europe was fantastic, and then Japan was like, you were the Beatles when you showed up. Now you've done this now. You must be completely numb to it the world over. Like, you've seen it, done it, every event, every festival. What's your perception of worldwide touring and where works, where doesn't? And is there any excitement really in any offer with you? Or is it a case of this is our job and my excitement's going out and doing it with Napalm Death regardless of the stage or region?
I think you have to keep the excitement in there. And I think, even though it might sound kind of petty or trivial in a way, that's kind of why I sort of touch on what I said earlier. I think, I mean, it's like I would rather do a festival one a weekend, and I put all the energy into that. And of course, sometimes with the festivals, there's several bands, like say Triptychon's playing. You're going to go, well, great, Triptychon's playing, or Crowbar might be there. I can see my friend Kirk, excellent, you know. And then you do your gig, you can get there, but then the triviality is the traveling, and it sounds crap to say that, really, in some ways, but it is. And then sometimes, lately for me, if you got like a gig on a Thursday, then you're traveling on a Friday or on Saturday, you can't. You're so exhausted sometimes. That's where the pettiness almost creates unrest. So to keep that excitement, you got to I think you maximize, you know, or minimize the amount of manicness, if that sense. And so we just did Australia and New Zealand, and we're really good friends with the Same Works touring down there. So it's family to us, and it was just easy, and they know us, and you build up these relations. The same with Japan. We work with Smash West down there. We have, you know, the same crew, same friends, and so it's always exciting, you know, for me to do this. Go to Scandinavia, people, there's key people that will come and keep that vibe going. I just think there's, and to make those moments continually special, you can't just. Well, for me, I can't do it like I used to, because it's just a case of energy. You know, trying to use your energy in the best part, because otherwise, you know, I think back to the days of just literally being taught on. If you add it up, sometimes touring for 6, 7, 8 months of the year, you know, and you can get a bit, that can jade you a little bit. I don't want to be jaded, because I'm generally not. You know,
it's not the music to play for a jaded man. You know, it's not. It's just not that type of energy. When you talk about festivals and saying, look, well, the dream for you is the big offer. You get to go across. You do the festival full energy and minimise that. Everything else, losing the kit, all the driving, all the hours. Which festivals, the big ones especially, anywhere in the world, but I'd assume Europe, that would stand out for you? Like, that's one I'm looking forward to getting back to. That's the one that gets it right.
Well, I mean, I missed a couple of them this year because they'd been a bit of recovering, but I know that I mean, Hellfest I like a lot, but it's a manic one. You know, it's a lot of people there, but I mean, the organisers of that must be insane. You know, to get it all together. But that's always a fun. There's a bit of a vibe going on there. You know, Brutal Assault's always a nice one to do. Chirby's Obscene Extreme. You know, it's always fun to come down to yours, mate, because it's just like, you know, it's just down the road for us, and it's just like, you know, it was a pleasant, you know, pleasant atmosphere, and that helps. You know what I mean?
That a hometown gig. I appreciate you saying that. In terms of when you've got like Hellfest, as you say, the absolute giant of them all, when they've got the Metallica and Iron Maiden at the top of the poster, or you're saying Obscene Extreme, but you guys are the top of the poster. What's the balance that when you go into something like Hellfest and you're just, you'll always be a big name band, but you're slap bang in the middle of the bill, as opposed to going somewhere. Damnation even would be included in this as well, where you're top of the bill. Is there much difference to that to you, or is it really just the show's the show?
The show can be the show, but it all depends on how you feel that day. You know, it's when you're sort of in the middle somewhere, I kind of always find that intriguing, because I don't know why I think of this. I'm like, oh, is anyone going to show up? You know, and that's a strange thing to think. And of course, Hellfest is like, there was a great vibe going on. You know, it was a great excitement. But I don't know why I would think that sort of thing. But I still don't think I take everything for granted in some ways. You know, which I don't think is a bad thing. You know, to be that way. But and some festivals, you know, I mean, we did Glastonbury was really interesting because it was like insanely huge, and you know, just a chance to get it was to play. It was a strange one. But that was one where I thought, is anyone even going to like us here because of the vibe of what we are?
Yeah,
you know, and there's a massively good buzz. And sometimes it's nice to play festivals you never played before because of the buzz, you know.
Have you saw there's more of that, like your Glastonbury? I mean, was it Pukkelpop was always one that I quite fancied as well, that had your Lana Del Rey and like a Napalm Death on the same bill. Yeah. I love that. I mean, Damnation goes pretty much as far as I think it can go in terms of the post-rock and grindcore, but I love the idea of going to a festival where I can catch a bit of R&B and grindcore, you know, because there's nothing worse sometimes in a day top to bottom of black metal or top to bottom of death metal, because you can get a bit numb to that genre, no matter how good it is over the course of the day.
It's definitely a bit of a trip, I suppose. When you can, I like when you can mingle those things. I mean, we did a show, might have been the off festival or one of the festivals in Poland, where like the Sleeve and Mods were on, and then we came on, and I like the Sleeve and Mods. So I was watching them cracking up and go, "This is great," and then we go and do our thing, and then I think there was like some sort of atmospheric kind of ambient black metal band after us, but the crowd's kind of mingling around. There's a nice, good vibe about it,
Yeah.
And Lockup did its first show forever the other week at Roskilde Festival. And that's primarily a Danish kind of indie pop festival.
Yeah.
So we were like, hey, okay, fine, We hadn't played for ages. But that was a great one because it was the first time Thomas and Kevin could come together, sing together on stage. So that was a lot of fun, for us. I got to hang out in Denmark for a few days. But I like it when the styles mix. It's nothing better, especially if you like, because I like all kinds of music. So it's like, if you get the chance to catch someone different as well before you gig, it almost kind of gives you a bit of extra oomph.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Roskilde, because I had Dave and Al Nathrak on, and they played Roskilde the day that Rihanna had headlined, and there's a change of pace for you leaving Al Nathrak to go and see Rihanna headline at Roskilde.
No, it is. It's great to do those sort of things, I think, really, and you do come across more so in Europe, I suppose. But I mean, it's still, that's what I like. I think nowadays there seems to be less of a barrier in some ways between what people like and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you touched on Damnation, and I mean, you're definitely a Damnation sort of favourite. I mean, it's a sort of cornerstone of our fan base. Napalm Death will be a band that they'd like. Now, you guys, I want to touch on something that I noticed with Napalm Death and the spell that I've been a promoter. So in 2008, he books Napalm Death, and he played the second stage on Leaf Pit Shifter, I think it was. And I remember the whole booking process, just everything about Napalm Death as usual, no hassle, no real dramas, and you guys show up, you put on a great show, and then for whatever reason, it doesn't happen again for another 10 years. But that time, the agent was like, well, if they're coming back, we're going to headline. And I was like, oh, right, okay, that's an unusual demand straight off the bat for Napalm Death. But at the same time, I had noticed there was a swelling the number of tickets you guys were selling. So I was like, okay, well, let's do it then. You guys headlined, and that poster behind me. I had a great year, done a good turnout. But what I found funny about it is, like, when you guys were headlining, it was still by 7:00 at night, a phone call, and it was Barney at the end saying, Gav, we're outside in the van, where can we park? So, and it was like, no extra drama was added in the 10 years. It was purely a case of, for whatever the reason, be it your agent being a good agent, or you guys feeling like you deserve that slot, you went from one slot to then closing the festival. Do you recall the change in the booking process in that period? Was it a band conscious decision to say, look, we need to be higher up these bills, or was that just your agent being a good agent?
Possibly a bit of both. I think sometimes it's we felt. I think we kind of we like to feel that especially I think the past 10 years. I don't know. I guess sometimes we just go, well, we were constantly at it, and of course it's cool. Some bands, a lot of bands, not a lot. Some bands go away for a long period of time. They come back. There's more of a, I don't know what it is you call it. They sort of become big, almost perceived bigger because they've been away, and I understand all that. That's totally fine.
Yeah,
and it's not like a jealousy thing or anything. We just go, but we're chugging away at this constantly, doing our albums and going for it, and just like, hey, put our heads down and grinding on. And I think occasionally, it seems like not so much whether we deserve it or not. It's a case of whether it seems a natural step to go from here to here. To do it, And of course, then the debates come back in, and so it can be what it is. And of course, our agent's pushing that too. He feels that strongly. Sometimes he can be there going, well, okay, well, look, guys, let's be realistic about certain things. I don't know really. But of course, someone's phoning me, of course. But I think sometimes it is a case of it was becoming a case. It's like, well, we were chugging away, and we feel that we're, because even though it's Napalm Death, the legendary band, whatever you want to call it, there's been ups and downs throughout our scene. It's just it's just the way it is. And I can look back at the points of, where it was this or this and that, things came in, but I do believe that steadily over the past few years we've been charging ahead and making it even a stronger name for ourselves, So
it's funny because from the outside looking in, I felt like that's a clever decision, because it forces the hand, firstly that promoter that's doing it, and then the promoters afterwards, if like Damnation that year's successful, to go, right, okay, well naturally you would build up. And then even what I want to touch on as well, I was at a show, in fact, the gig that I put on with you guys in the Ivory Backs in Glasgow, maybe in about 2009, 2010. And we done a couple hundred tickets, but then you come back maybe 5 or 6 years later, do Classic Grand, it's 500 or 600 tickets. Now, again, for outside looking in, it's like, well, what changed? Napalm Death never had a huge musical shift. They never, wasn't some sort of great marketing campaign. There was nothing. For outside, Napalm Death were just as solid as always were, but they've now doubled the ticket sales in Glasgow, more than doubled their ticket sales in Glasgow. Do you guys sometimes get caught like, well, what happened there? Or is there something within the camp you says, oh, we've seen what happened there? That's why after 25 years of Napalm Death, we've become twice as big in Glasgow in the space of 3 years?
I think part of it is, the consistent. I like to think the consistency and stuff like that, but I think also we also want to be able to take out a tour package with us, which has some interesting bands too. That helps. That's naturally that helps.
Yep.
It's good for them. It's good for us, and the whole vibe really. And trying to hopefully give your fans a bit of value as well. And I think all that goes right back to the old kind of spirit of the hardcore scene or whatever, when you were helping each other out. So, well, that band's really good, and let's pull it all together, So of course, Napalm's up there, it looks good for Napalm, but it looks good, but also the other guys are getting a chance, and then good for them to come back. And I think, but then sometimes also, it's a strange thing, isn't it? I find where that you might have the most diehard of Napalm fans, but he misses the gig for some reason. I couldn't make it yesterday because whatever, and I get that,
Yeah.
And sometimes it could be timing. Who knows? I just don't know. But the important thing for us is, not just on Napalm's merit and hard work, is also the help of excellent bands with us that we bring in, and it just it becomes a machine. It's like a little snowball that gets a bit bigger and a bit bigger over time.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about that, to those strong packages when you get the ones, and it's just, every time you went out in the package, you had Power Trip on it as well. It just adds so much. You're putting these builds together that are fantastic to build in. But also then there's a left field sort of a Volbeat arena tour. So it's like when you go out and do something like, how was that? Because it's hard to wrap your mind around a Volbeat fan that might not know Napalm Death getting in there and saying, that's the kind of music I was looking for. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just so extreme in comparison to something like Volbeat or even Skindred, that build. So how did those shows go?
They went pretty good. It's nerve-wracking for us because it's different kind of vibe. Because the first show I think was we did in Ireland. Was it Ireland or Dublin? I can't remember where we did it exactly. But that was weeks then. What you call the VIP meet and greet area.
Yeah.
But the people hadn't come in at that point, so we were kind of the people who did like Napalm were sort of in the back, and we were here. I changed after the second show. The singer of Volbeat, who's a fan of Napalm, I guess, because I guess that's how it came about. Barnes sang on the track on the album, I suppose. And but the reception was generally good, But of course, very dark. I'm sort of looking at there trying to say, hoping that someone's getting into it.
So how did it change? So like the first usage you played this empty would be equivalent to a snake pit by a VIP area.
Yeah, you're so used to the down the front.
Yeah.
Of course, it's different, isn't it? The whole arena thing, the way they arrange it, was so different. And so after the second show, they started letting people, making sure the people down the front a bit, so it had a vibe, because
Aye.
We're a bit up there going, bloody hell, it's like, this is a bit, you're totally paranoid as hell,
Yeah.
and so the reception was good generally, I think, and those things kind of they help change perspective as a band because the majority of the Volbeat fans might not have been interested, but it just takes a few people to go, oh, this is really interesting, I like this, and it's not just for Napalm. It's like, well, that's their introduction to extreme music or something. Because I mean, when I was getting into it, I wanted something crazier and crazier.
Yeah.
Some of my mates were just kind of content to stay at a certain thing, and that's fine,
Aye.
So the no doubt there were some people in there going, well, never seen this before, and this is exactly what I'm into. What I want to do.
I mean, likewise. I mean, as you say, you came through a different style. My introduction was the same as a lot of people from my era. Was that Limp Bizkit, Korn, kind of music you were hearing Krang, and then suddenly I fancy something a wee bit heavier, and then you hear Amen, and then you hear Raging Speed Torn, and then you're not very far away for Raging Speed Torn to finding your Napalm Death. And then next thing you know, you like that kind of music as well. So it's just, I remember seeing a picture now you mentioned the sort of pit at the front. I mean, get out. That must have been a bit daunting to kind of go and say, like, there is Napalm Death fans here, but they're 100 yards away, which is bigger than some of the venues you'd normally play.
Well, it is just different for sure, and we've done. I mean, I don't know, but I don't know, over 5,000 gigs, I suppose, so it's stupid like that. But you still get nervous, if you feel a bit out of your supposed comfort zone, but and I have a phobia where if I can't see the crowd, it just flips me out for some reason. So even when we do our own gigs, I'm like, try and put a few bit of lights on the crowd so I can see them. Even if they're just looking grumpy at me, it don't really matter.
I just want to see that. I just want to know they're there.
You see someone's there, I don't know what it is, and so it's a bit weird, really.
Well, listen, I know you're in the middle of a sort of press tour with this book at the minute, so I'll not keep you for too much longer, but we'll stick with that sort of like wrap up to where we are now. We're talking about not as odd as Volbeat, but certainly different from a Napalm Death usual lineup bill. Cult of Luna this Friday down in Beyond Redshift. I know how it came about. Jonas is a big, he's Canadian and he's a big Napalm Death fan, and he asked you guys to play, and you guys said yes. But for your point of view, I can understand him being a big Napalm Death fan, but when that came to you, were you like, oh, Cult of Luna, they're great? I was like, oh, there's a band who like us, let's go and check them out, and are we going to fit the bill kind of thing?
I remember Cult of Luna from way back when they did, I think, the first album, Earache, I think it was. And I kind of drifted away from them, which is weird because I love what they do. Is really right up my street, but somebody just, I don't know why I'd veered away. It's weird, and I thought, oh well, great, this is interesting. I'm gonna go check them out again. And I'm like, fucking hell, where have I been? This is amazing stuff. Totally up my alley.
Yeah,
totally. So that was it. I was doubly sort of chuffed to be doing it, and stuff. So yeah, it's and then that's how sometimes it happens, and you think, well, who has got into Napalm and then sort of, they've gone off for a few years, only to come back. That's how things happen sometimes, and you only start to learn that stuff by being around for a long time, So sometimes that's why sometimes you sell more tickets 1 year, sometimes the Napalm Death fans have returned. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I know that Emma Ruth Rundle, she was opening, and I think she's not doing the gig, I heard,
no,
which is a bit of a bummer. So
we'll definitely check out the replacement, Joe Quayle, who's with her cello. I mean, something to talk about, very different. One woman and a cello on stage, but for however she manages it, it gets pretty heavy, and it's definitely worth catching out. So
that's where I've been at for a while. Music, where I'm going to for sure, is more and more abstract, interesting stuff, really. So and it will influence the next Napalm album, which I want to start hopefully next year.
Yeah.
So I'm up for. I'm always open to everything, really. So.
Good. Well, no, that's one of those ones where, I know for, because it's a bit one of those ones where there's a Damnation fan base. I mean, that's like a centre point. When you're talking about Cult of Luna and Napalm Death are a sort of crossing section of where two fans of most times will like both bands. If you clash both those bands at Damnation, I would get complaints. So it's one of those ones where it'll definitely be, and that's it's just a great bit of billing. It's like that change of pace. You're going to get your gold, Joe Quayle and Svalbard, and then you're going to get a bit of Napalm Death, the grinding, and just going right into the post metal. It's going to be a great day. If I wasn't so far south, I might have jumped in a flight myself. But as I say, I'm catching about a Cataluna at least tonight in Glasgow, so that'll be good. Okay, to wrap it up then, how can we get our hands on this book, Life and Napalm Death?
At the moment, it's kind of like through the website of Rocky 88 Books. So you could do like napalmdeathbook.com or ShaneNapalmDeathBook.com.
Okay.
Put it from there. But we really need to try and get it into some record stores or bookstores, whatever you want to call it. That's kind of where it needs to go to, I think, really, because it's like, I mean, sometimes if you see it, you go,
Have that, yeah.
I'm forever like, I'm terrible for like, I really want that. And if I don't make a note of it, 5 minutes later, something's happened, especially with my kids, and I forgot what the hell's going on. But napalmdeathbook.com. ShaneNapalmDeathBook.com is the initial.
Okay, and if you're speaking to your publisher and you want a table at Damnation in a couple of weeks' time to come up and shift a few of your books, you're more than welcome to do that as well, Shane. All right.
Yeah, well, that could be really good. That could be a good thing. Hopefully, I should be around. I hope. Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Catch up with your boys in Rotten Sound that are flying across for that as well.
Oh, that's good. Oh, yeah, it'd be good to see them. Yeah, it's always good to see them. Good old, okay, it was a good old boy. Many a mad night with him.
I hope I can read some of them in that book when I get round to it. It was a pleasure speaking to you, Shane.
You take care.
Bye.
Cheers, mate. Bye.